Pain from the Loam here, and welcome back to another Trench Crusade video. Following February's theme of talking about everything Black Grail as I make my way through my 700 ducat Black Grail warband, we're going to be talking about the Hounds of the Black Grail. We're going to talk a little bit about their lore, a little bit on how I go about picking miniatures for Trench Crusade, and how I went about painting these hounds. So without much further ado, let's get into it. So what are Grail Hounds? In the lore, Grail Hounds are the parasitic carcasses of canines infested with the maggots and flies spawned by Beelzebub himself, and they are then reanimated to walk and prowl the battlefields to further and spread the infection and disease and pestilence and all the nasty stuff which is associated with the Black Grail. And that's basically all we're really given. We're just given a small little paragraph in the rules section for the Hounds of the Black Grail. And it's quite open-ended in terms of what they actually look like. We know that they're dogs, but that's where it sort of ends, which really helps when it comes to picking miniatures to represent them on the battlefield. I decided to look around in my mini factory library to see what I had, and I still had some Grave Hounds from the Graves of the Lost Soul collection, which I used for my Court the Seven-Headed Serpent warband. I looked at them, I was like, fantastic, they're hounds, but they don't look very Black Grail. Usually you associate Black Grail with like quite decayed looking miniatures. If you look at the Grail Hounds, they're usually quite slender and quite fly-like, especially with their head. So this led me to a sort of problem which I needed to work out. I had these hounds which looked a lot different to what we usually associate with Grail Hounds. So how could I sort of bring this more in line with depictions of Grail Hounds? So one of the ways in which I like to do that is, well, just by coming up with some lore, some justifications. So I take what we know, try and link that to the visual aspects of the miniature which I'm going to be playing with. So we know, one, they're canines, so anything which looks like a dog is fair game. Two, we know that they're infected with maggots and flies, and they are sources of pestilence, so they're not going to look great, so that can lead us more into the sort of realm of like the undead, or to more like zombies. And thirdly, there's a bit of lore in the Trench Crusade wiki which talks about how when people get infected by the Black Grail, they can succumb at the same time and form these like pools of flesh, and from that pool they sort of become these amalgamated creatures, which kind of caught my attention. Because if you look at the Grave Hounds, you can see a load of faces like under their skin, so it really sort of plays into that aspect. For the miniature, we already have, yes, they're canines. They look quite undead. If you look at their jaws, they're very much reminiscent of Resident Evil and the dogs you find in the games, and how they sort of split their mouths because of that sort of infection that they have. So it just got me thinking that the different ways in which the Black Grail might have these separate strains, and maybe that this one, in that amalgamated pool, that there might have been like some dogs, and maybe the dog sort of won out, and the rest of the people who might have been infected are sort of assimilated into the dog and are sort of left there for eternity. But like doing something like that, even if it's just like a little sentence, really helps sometimes thread a miniature into the sort of the warband. And again, you can do that with like painting and basing, which we're going to be going on to next, really. So yeah, those are sort of the sort of thoughts behind picking miniatures, and some of the things you can do to sort of thread them in to the overall theme of the warband. So painting the Grail Hounds, I wanted to follow a similar recipe as I did for my Grail Thralls. So firstly, I based the skin with the Darkness by Army Painter, which was mixed with Xeris Purple by Citadel. This just gives you a nice sort of blue-purple base colour, which I quite like for flesh. After that had dried, I went in with some Rakarth flesh mixed with the base colour we were using to just go over the sort of the raised areas. You can dry brush at this point, or you can just layer with a brush. After that was dry, I went in with a layer of Rakarth flesh, again just focusing on those raised areas. Once that was dry, I went in with some Caribou Crimson. I love this wash, it's my favourite wash, and it's so good for doing this sort of infected, distressed skin. So I just covered the model with it. After that had dried, I went in again with another layer of Rakarth flesh, just focusing on the raised areas and trying not to go into the sort of aggravated recesses. The last stage for the skin, I used a mix of Rakarth flesh and Celestial Grey from Citadel. This is very much focused on those raised areas. For the fur, I just used a series of greys, working from dark grey to a lighter grey, and not really being too tidy with the brush strokes to try and simulate that feel and depth of hair, something which I'm still personally working on. For the bones and the teeth and claws, I just used Morghast bone. For the tail, after that had dried, I just went over with a layer of contrast skeleton horde, just to give it a little bit of variation. Now, the final stage of this, I used Streaking Grime and Slimy Grime Dark by AK Interactive. I just applied it liberally over the miniature. If it pulled too much, I'd just get a brush and lift out the wash. I waited for it to dry for about 20 minutes before removing it with a Q-tip and a makeup remover damp with Artist's White Spirit. Again, you're going to want to be gentle when you remove the Streaking Grime and Slime Grime Dark, because you don't want to damage the layer of paint under it. And with that, that is the Grail Hounds done. As you can see, they look very grim, very dark, except for the basing. But we'll get onto the basing in another video. When I was basing these and applying the flock, I didn't really wait for the Streaking Grime to fully dry, so I do have some bits of flock on the miniature, but it kind of makes it look like they've been running in the grass or playing in the grass, but I doubt they were, you never know. But I just kind of liked how, yeah, some of the flock just stayed on. And then, yeah, that's them sort of all done and ready for the table. So I just want to say thank you all for watching. If you're still here, I really, really appreciate it. I've still got my Herald of Beelzebub, my Lord of Tumors, my a Plague Knight, and my Grail Devotees to finish painting, which is actually quite a lot to paint, because I kind of want them all done by the end of February, but I'll do those in a later video. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Again, thank you all for watching, and until next time, I've been Painting from the Loam. Goodbye.